what's left for you is Tawaf al-wada', the farewell Tawaf. Okay, the farewell Tawaf. This can be done any time afterwards, and the intention can be combined with Tawaf al-Ifada, if not returning to Mecca, according to some narrations. Now I'm going to explain this inshallah. Tawaf al-Wada' is a farewell Tawaf. The scholars differed over it, whether it's a wajib or a sunnah. So Tawaf al-Ifada, remember, I know that's late right now, but the main Tawaf on the day of Eid, or the Tawaf of Hajj, which you have to do either on the 10th, the 11th, 12th, whatever it may be, that Tawaf is a rukun. It's mandatory. It's a pillar of the Hajj. Tawaf al-Wada' is either a wajib or a sunnah, the farewell Tawaf. And basically what it is that the last thing a person should do when they leave Mecca, when they leave the Haram, they leave the sacred precinct, is Tawaf. So Tawaf al-Wada' is done towards the end of your trip. Okay? And after Tawaf al-Wada', you cannot buy, you cannot sell, you should not engage in things, buying and selling and things of that sort, except for your food and your essentials and things of that sort. But you can't go shopping after that. That should be towards the end of your trip. It's not reasonable to go do Tawaf al-Wada' and go to the airport. That's very difficult for people. Usually it's going to be like within the last day, within the last 24 hours of your trip, inshallah ta'ala, you go and you do your Tawaf al-Wada'. Now, what happens, and this is what I mentioned about combining the intention. Combining the intention, I want you to understand this. Combining the intention simply means delaying your Tawaf al-Ifada until the end of your trip, to where it takes the place of Tawaf al-Wada' anyway. That's something that's permissible, and that was, Imam Malik rahimahullah, and also within the Hanbali school, that's something that was allowed and that was done. And basically what that meant is, it serves the purpose of Tawaf al-Wada'. And Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah explained it this way. Okay? He likened Tawaf al-Wada' to the 2 rak'ahs that you pray when you come into the masjid. If you come into the masjid and there's a fard, what do? Do you pray the 2 rak'ahs of Tahiyyatul Masjid, or do you join the fard? You join the fard, because the point is that when you come into the masjid, you shouldn't sit without praying your 2 rak'ahs. Alright? So that's what the scholars that said that you could delay the Tawaf al-Ifada until the end, and it could serve as your Tawaf al-Wada', they likened it to Tahiyyatul Masjid, to the entering into the masjid. You could do your Tawaf al-Ifada, for example, if you're leaving on the morning of the 15th of the Hijjah, you would do it on the 13th or the 14th, and then that would serve in place of it. However, again, I would recommend people to not do that unless it's really, really difficult for them. They're really struggling. They're having a hard time. You want to do as much as you can of the Hajj, inshallah ta'ala. You don't get this opportunity much. So if you can do Tawaf al-Ifada and Tawaf al-Wada', that's the best way to go. That's the way we should do it, inshallah ta'ala. Unless there's some dire circumstances or a person has a very unique situation, because some people might have an early trip out or whatever it may be. So, this should be the last thing that you do in Mecca. There is no sa'i for Tawaf al-Wada'. Okay? And what about voluntary tawafs? I tell people this, and I really do mean it. That's not the time to do voluntary tawafs. People are struggling to get their Tawaf al-Ifada done, to get their Tawaf al-Wada' done. That's not the time to cause a bunch of traffic and cause hardship by doing voluntary tawafs. Inshallah ta'ala, you can do other things. Now, if you miss Tawaf al-Wada', let's say that you were late, or let's say that you had to get to the airport, it just didn't work out, something happened, Tawaf al-Wada' was missed. What do you have to do? If you're following the opinion of the majority that it's a wajib, then you'll give a sacrifice. You'll do a fidyah. Okay? If a sister, is on her cycle and she misses Tawaf al-Wada', does she have to do any type of sacrifice or makeup or anything of that sort? No. Okay? There's going to be no makeup for it whatsoever. Some of the women's issues, inshallah ta'ala, just to put out here, because it's very, very important, inshallah ta'ala, a lot of times, and I feel bad because the sisters always have a lot of questions and a lot of confusions and things of that sort. There are a few things that are mentioned here, inshallah ta'ala. One of them is that, again, the only thing that a woman is prohibited from doing on her cycle is tawaf. Now let's say that the time of Hajj ended and a woman has not done her Tawaf al-Ifadah, what does she do? What does she do at that point? At that point, okay, she would do her Tawaf al-Ifadah even though she's on her cycle. Why? Because now if a person is delaying, now let's say that she's staying for 21 days or whatever it may be, and she can wait. So you can delay your Tawaf al-Ifadah to the 18th, the 19th. Then you should do it then. You should do it when you achieve tuhur, when you achieve your purity. But if you're in a situation where you've got a flight on the 15th, and you have not reached that state of purity yet, then you will do your Tawaf al-Ifadah anyway. Okay? Why? Because then you are like a person who has to do salah but can't maintain that particular condition of tuhur during salah. Like they have something that stops them from having wudu throughout their prayer. You still have to do your tawaf, and inshallah ta'ala there's no sin on you whatsoever, and it will completely fulfill the obligation. Okay? So Imam bin Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala wrote in quite some detail on this, and there were other scholars that mentioned the same. And it's the only thing that makes sense, because if a person left, I'm just letting you guys know, if a person left from Hajj and they did not do their Tawaf al-Ifadah, you are in a state of ihram until you come back to Mecca and you do Tawaf al-Ifadah. That means you could be in ihram for a year. That means your husband can't touch you for a year, which that might be what you're trying to achieve, but it's probably not going to do a good thing. It's probably not going to be good for the household. All right? But a sister could do her Tawaf al-Ifadah, in that case, just the mandatory Tawaf, inshallah ta'ala. A lot of times you have people that take some sort of pills to delay their cycle, or to try to play with it, and usually it doesn't work. Okay? Usually it doesn't work because obviously just the nature of the entire Hajj period and things of that sort. So inshallah ta'ala, while you're there, you can ask those types of questions, and you can see those things. Taking those pills, if you've sought medical advice, they're permissible. It's okay, inshallah ta'ala. In fact, there are early narrations of some of the sahabiyat and some of the tabi'at trying to look for remedies so that they could shift their cycle around for the purpose of Hajj. But inshallah ta'ala, if a person finds himself in any situation, there is a way around it. So even if they had to do Tawaf al-Ifadah and the time comes to leave, then they could do their Tawaf al-Ifadah. They don't have to do Tawaf al-wada'. They don't do any other Tawaf. They only do the mandatory Tawaf that has to be done before you leave Mecca. Okay? Just quickly, should I do Medina? Just the quick things about Medina? There's really nothing to do and nothing really to talk about there. So inshallah ta'ala, I'll just open it up to questions now. By the way, this whole guide is available on hajjpackageusa.com. It's on Hilal Hajj's website. So you can actually get this Hajj step by step, inshallah ta'ala, and you can refer to it throughout the Hajj period, inshallah.